My lords, as many of you will be aware, the galaxy has witnessed some very questionable decisions. Today, we're going to discuss several incidents of empires who made bad choices, which often resulted in either their or somebody else's extinction. I'll begin with the event designated simply as Ruins. Ruins cover the planet of Ulrich III. It was once bombarded by something, but oddly the blast patterns seem to indicate vast nuclear explosions occurred underneath the planet rather than from an atmospheric or from an orbitable bombardment. It is for this reason, on top of the ruins alone, that the planet warranted further investigation. We are setting up an archaeological dig site to reveal what happened here. Upon further investigation, the devastation of the planet is almost total, but we have identified a few scattered records that survived. It would seem that the people of Ulrich III became obsessed with the idea that aliens were observing them. Frequent reports of unidentified flying objects, i.e. UFOs, animal mutilation, and abductions drove the planet into a frenzy. In reaction to this, countless resources were poured into vast detection arrays, anti-spacecraft defences, and underground shelters in order to protect the populace. As we continue to dig through the records, we've discovered more details. As an ever-increasing percentage of the planetary resource was poured into anti-UFO measures, without any notable success, I should add, the planet's economy and its society began to collapse. Brownouts and food shortages became endemic, and most fields of technology stagnated entirely. There was a deep sense of hopelessness that prevailed at almost every level of this society. Near the end of their timeline, we began to find scattered references to some sort of ultimate shield. These references became increasingly common as reports about the general situation got worse. Following on from this, we discovered a partially preserved databank in a hardened military bunker, which revealed the fate of the planet. Faced with the general economic collapse, which would have led to the end of their anti-UFO measures, the rulers of Ulrich III activated this ultimate shield. However, as they would soon find out, this was not a shield to protect the planet. Rather, it was the complete nuclear annihilation of the population and infrastructure to ensure that neither could be taken by the alien invaders. This decision was apparently spurred on by the discovery of an alien signal coming from another planet in their solar system. As it would turn out, the source of this alien signal was discovered by us, but rather than being a sinister alien invasion force, the signal originated from a simple ancient survey marker, which was sent by an automated mining probe. The probe, as it turned out, discovered a minor vein of valuable alloy. It is damaged and transmits only intermittently and very faintly. It would appear that this entire civilization killed themselves over nothing more than a survey beacon. A foolish end to a foolish empire. The next event to discuss is designated as Rockbrain. This is when an empire discovered new life and then managed to immediately and accidentally kill it. A scan of a particularly large asteroid in the Kuiper Belt yielded fantastic results. The rock's core was shot through with a network of conductive crystals which appeared to carry weak electric charge. Our science teams recognized this matrix as a primitive neural lattice and believe that the celestial body is thinking in some capacity, if not perhaps fully sapient. The science team sought permission to excavate the core and transport it to the nearest research facility for closer study. They were of course given permission, and the scientists ended up extracting the core from beneath the crust of the asteroid. But it would appear it did not respond well to the vacuum of space. Our instruments read a sudden energy spike moments before the rock lump gently but decisively fractured. All our lead scientists could say was simply, "Oops." It would appear that they broke this primitive brain in half. Perhaps we shouldn't tell the Galcom about this one. Next up, we have that one time that we accidentally committed genocide and wiped out an entire species, no less. Amusingly, this was also a lithoid species. I wonder if there's a pattern here. Recent mining advancements on a newly colonized planet have revealed traces of an alien civilization beneath its crust. The planetary governor, prioritizing galactic knowledge, authorized a science team led by Dr. Tucker to excavate the site Scans indicated that a vast subterranean city within a natural cave system had been built, and it was accessible through a single ornate, airlocked gate. This city, based on scans, was rich in minerals such as gold, silver and platinum, and appeared to have been crafted by a highly skilled culture. The science team dismantled the gate cautiously, as behind it was a methane-filled environment. Once breached, the methane rushed out and was replaced by the atmospheric oxygen, allowing for safe exploration of our people. Inside, the science team discovered a sprawling city of exquisite craftsmanship, adorned with sculptures and ornate architecture, all of which were covered with precious metal. The city, however, was devoid of life. It was populated instead by lifelike crystal statues, frozen mid-action, mining, fleeing, or even embracing one another. These statues were called the Kalanka, and it would appear that they were central to this civilization's culture, as they were depicted in carvings and stone tablets throughout the city. Translations of the tablets revealed a creation myth in which godlike beings breathed life into the mountain, creating the Kalanka from fire and stone. Initially, we thought these to be artistic constructs. Further analysis revealed that the statues were actually once living, silicon-based lifeforms. The science team quickly concluded that the Kalanka were the builders of the city, thriving in an anaerobic environment deep underground, where oxygen did not naturally occur. And thus it was at this moment that we discovered that we had accidentally committed genocide. Tragically, when our science team breached the ornate door, we exposed the Kalanka to oxygen, triggering a lethal reaction that crystallized their silicon-based bodies into quartz. This unintended exposure resulted in the instant genocide of a once thriving civilization, as evidenced by the statue's lifelike positions throughout the city. The team speculates that an ancient race may have created the Kalanka and built the protective gate to shield them from the planet's oxygen-rich surface. Despite this catastrophic loss, the discovery did lead to scientific advancements, including a method to synthetically manufacture crystals via silicon oxidation. The breakthrough, alongside the extraction of rare crystals, of course promises economic benefits for the Commonwealth. The moral and diplomatic implications of the accidental genocide remain significant. Not our finest hour. The next event we shall discuss is that designated Deceptive Giant, i.e. that time that we thought we found an oddly small and interesting gaseous planet, except we didn't. What we had assumed was an abnormally small gas giant was in fact not. Beneath a deceptive cover of thick dust swirling in the upper atmosphere lay a regular planet. A barren planet, but a planet nevertheless. This event proved quite the embarrassment for the astronomical community, but has resulted in a ridiculously large, barren planet. Perhaps we can terraform that one day. If so, it will be the largest planet in our empire. Next to discuss is the fate of the Irassian Concordant. Approximately 1 million years ago, this precursor race was the dominant force in the galaxy. They fell, however, due to a simple manufacturing flaw in a quarantine seal. A disease, if you can believe it, laid waste to their entire civilization. Despite having several vassal empires, which incidentally it would appear were not treated well at all, the Irassians were spending a completely unsustainable amount of their resource output on healthcare. Its budget rivaled their military, which, given that they were a militaristic empire who vassalized by force, is quite the feat. Despite this huge spend, the Irassians remained incredibly susceptible to disease, and it would appear lacked proper disease control protocol. During colonization of a newly found tropical world, the Irassians missed a rare form of potentially deadly bacteria, which would later be designated as the Javorian pox. This bacteria found its way through a faulty quarantine seal, and from there into the air filtration system of a merchant ship. The merchant ship was bound for several other colonies, and the pox would spread like a wildfire. To further fan the flames, the Irassian vassal states would seize upon this opportunity to rise up and fight their would-be oppressors. This resulted in the relatively swift and brutal downfall of the once dominant species of our galaxy. A simple bacterium, the culprit. Next, my lords, we have another one of humanity's blunders, This one relates to first contact with a little lizard race known as the Prikki-ti. I shall detail the report for you now. Today, I received a report from the Outer Rims. It seems our science vessels identified a world coated in some sort of shield technology. We have named this planet Gish. According to our lead science officer, she believes that there is a civilization occupying this shielded world and that they are stuck in some sort of time loop. How or why this occurred is open for debate. Maybe they did this to themselves. They wished for isolation perhaps. Or maybe a greater power than us deemed fit to imprison them upon this world. In any event, we do not know. We have been able to identify some of the civilization's traits, however. These Prikki-ti appear to be quite small bipeds resembling terrestrial geckos. They have opposable thumbs and stand at approximately 25 centimeters or a little bit less than 1 foot tall. Frankly, from the images, they look adorable. I'm told that we may be able to interrupt this time loop and free the creatures from whatever trap that they are in. I've instructed our scientists to move forward with haste in the hope that these little lizard creatures may have something to offer us. Or at the very least, they may wish to join as a vassal state to our empire. After all, how bad could they be? 6 months have passed since my previous entry on the matter. The physicists have been hard at work attempting to bring down the shield and end the time loop. In the meantime, however, we've received a communique from the Curator Order. It appears that the race that we have found are known as the Prikki-ti, and at one point they were a dominant race in the galaxy. According to the Curators, they were among the most xenophobic, bloodthirsty race to have ever reached sentience. Supposedly, the Prikki-ti were preyed upon for almost their entire existence by the numerous predators of Gish. They eventually achieved sentience and the use of tools as a means of self-defense. Ironically, they're herbivores and they have no use for hunting. They use weapons primarily to exterminate any species on their world that posed a threat to them. And there were many. They carried this mindset with them to the stars. The Curators attached a little further history on them. The Prikki-ti emerged from Gish and achieved interstellar travel around 1860. They expanded rapidly over that time until they made first contact with the kingdom of Partagoa, which had until that point been enjoying a slow expansion for around 1,000 years. It's worthy of noting they had not yet developed faster than light travel, but their exploration was made possible due to the Partagoans' long lifespan and use of preservation technology, just like the Yut, really. In one of the universe's great ironies, the Partagoans were the exact opposite of the Prikki in almost every single way imaginable. Where the Prikki was small, the Partagoans were enormous, growing to around 3 meters in length and weighing 600 kilograms when fully grown. The Partagoans' crab-like appearance also closely resembled one of the many and more feared natural predators that existed on Gish, largely due to its ability to hide in deep ocean. The Prikki would unleash a genocidal war on the Partagoans, but the haphazard method in which they engaged allowed the outer colonies of the Partagoans to capture several of their vessels and transmit the findings back to the homeworld, before they were ultimately overrun and exterminated. Within 150 years, the Partagoans developed hyperdrives of their own, but they still remained at a decided disadvantage to the Prikki-ti. Not long after the Partagoans managed to develop faster than light travel, the Prikki-ti made contact with other races and immediately engaged them in war. Unfortunately for them, one of these empires was a race that we now refer to as the Enigmatic Observers. It seems even 400 years ago, this was a race not to be trifled with. The Observers quickly and efficiently took the Prikki-ti Empire apart, and were apparently the ones that imprisoned them on the Shield world, locked in a time loop for observation. The Curator data does not provide a reason for this. We can speculate that perhaps it is in the hope that the Prikki-ti would evolve over time and come out of this feeling less genocidal. In any case, this leaves us with a decision. Should we continue our efforts to end the time loop and potentially allow these lizards a chance to subjugate the galaxy again, or should we simply observe them? Another 6 months passed, and the Commonwealth Council decided to break the time loop and bring down the shield. Our primary goal was to integrate the Empire and their knowledge into our own. Perhaps they will enjoy what the Commonwealth has to offer. Our second goal, and perhaps a foolish one, is in the hope that these Prikki-ti will help us usurp the Observers. In any case, We shall see. A full 2 years have passed since my initial entry on the matter, and it would appear that we made a grave mistake. Upon dropping the shield, we attempted to conduct first contact. Our hails went unanswered, so we landed an envoy on the planet. The ship landed and was immediately swarmed by a horde of Prikki-ti, carrying an array of weapons, from swords to axes to spears. The ship's log showed the Prikki-ti forcing their way into the transport and butchering the small crew with incredible violence. We have some audio from the event.
Well, they've killed most of us. And not just killed. They've done things.
Disturbing indeed. After this, a small group of Prikki-ti then boarded the transport ship and used it as a kamikaze torpedo into the orbiting cruiser of the planet, which caused major damage. As our cruiser limped out of system, we were picking up chatter from Gish of what appeared to be a celebration. We suspect this will signify a new Prikki-ti genocidal campaign. I'm ordering the Galactic Fleet to disengage from diplomatic duties and make all haste towards their homeworld. We must end this threat that we foolishly let loose upon the galaxy. We ended up bombing Gish from orbit and sent these little lizards back into the abyss they once crawled out of. Despite this, I feel like this event could have been avoided. And finally, my lords, we have the infamous Gamma aliens, the very aliens who annihilated the UNE colony Europa. These Gamma aliens had the misfortune of meeting our greatest and most powerful weapon, the Commonwealth of Man's world-cracker Colossus superweapon. It was these events that led humanity to come back together after all these years apart. The Commonwealth saved the UNE. If only we could have prevented the genocide at Europa. Nevertheless, we made these Gamma aliens regret their foolish decision. I have a recording of events that I'll play for you now.
Checking defense shields, fuel systems, and engines. Roger that.
I feel like the day you were born was like a lifetime ago. It went by so fast. I need to go, but know that you've been with me every day. Stay strong. Don't be afraid. Everything will be okay. I promise.
Radar detecting large unknown objects.
Know that I did what I could to protect you.
All personnel, man your battle stations.
Enemy ships approaching. Immediate takeoff.
I solemnly swear to devote my life and abilities in defense of the United Nations of Earth, to defend the Constitution of Man, and to further the universal rights of all sentient life. From the depths of the Pacific to the edge of the galaxy,
Readings are off the scale. What is that thing?
for as long as I shall live.
We are receiving reports that Colony Europa 7 has in fact been destroyed by an
The estimated death toll is in the billions.
My entire family was... The attackers are being called Gamma aliens until more information
With this attack, we have no choice but to protect our kind by unleashing our almighty weapon upon them, summoning the apocalypse.